Ayissi, thank you for joining me today. It has been a little while since we've seen each other in New York City, and I can't tell you just how elated I am to have you here today. There's so much to learn about cacao, about you, about your company, your dreams, your visions. And I had the rare privilege of watching the iterations of your slide deck, your presentations, and really have developed quite an interest in the chocolate sector. And I'd invite our listeners and anyone viewing this to help you any way they possibly can. So, Ayissi, I guess let's just start off. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me today. Mhm.
Again, I'm so curious about this subject. Where are you right now? Where are you sitting?
Vancouver in my office.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to let you go right into this, and I may interject with a few questions along the way. And again, this is quite a treat, both the story as well as the subject matter.
Absolutely. And I think it's very important to have these conversations because um, I feel like the cocoa industry is so complex and there's so many things behind it that having this conversation and sharing about what's really going on in the supply chain always give a better understanding on how things are. And yes, thank you so much for giving me a platform to share my story. So yeah, my name is Ayissi. I am the founder of EMKAO Foods. EMKAO Foods means enterprise made for cacao, cacao with a K. And I incorporated the company in 2016. And I started the company because coming from a third generation of cacao farmers and
Wait, I'm going to
seeing,
interject because I got my
Mhm.
first question. So you
Okay,
say third generation. So this was your grandparents that were the first
yeah,
generation? So
yes.
did you know them? Were you alive when they were alive?
I was so little, I was a baby. And I just remember I have some very blurry souvenirs, but I remember my mom telling me that my grandmother was always saying that it is very challenging to work at the farm gate level and that she doesn't know if it's worth it to continuing with growing the cocoa beans and the coffee beans. So that's the only souvenirs and memories I have. Yes.
So, I mean, well, they were the first ones. What were they doing that made them want to even get into that industry? I mean, what were the circumstances that moved in that way?
Yeah, so actually, we were colonized by Germans, by French, and they actually came out with all those trees. They wanted the population to grow what they liked. So it was first, we were forced to grow the cacao beans. And then when they left and when Cameroon got the independence in 1960, so we still had those trees, we still had those cacao, we still have those coffee beans. So the question was, what are we doing now that the Germans and the French left? We still have those beans. So are we moving away or are we continuing on harvesting and keeping that knowledge and actually selling to international buyers? So it was a question of what are we doing with those beans? Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, obviously it worked well enough then, and your parents decided to continue doing it. Was it just that the land was already in production and that was the passing of the torch? Or, I mean, sometimes kids on a farm, that's the last thing they want to do. They want to go to the city and get an
Absolutely.
IT job, making a lot of money.
Yes, and it's funny enough because my father actually he went to the US. He did his PhD in agriculture, and he always say, I was born in the farm, and the farm is born within me. So you at some point have that call of I have to go back to the farm, right? So he decided to do better, certifying the farms. Making sure that the farmers are trained doing better than just harvesting the beans and maintaining the farms. He wanted to bring the farm to a different level because he had the experience on seeing what can be done and what can be how we can actually make those farms a little bit uh, more accessible and growing quality cocoa beans. So yeah. Mhm.
Now, when you say farmers, was he getting together the other farmers in the community as well and working sort of as a collective along those or a co-op along those lines?
So we don't have a co-op per se, but definitely working with other farms. The village has 89,000 people. So we do have a lot of farmers, and because he was born in the village, like I said, um, people we have all those cocoa beans. So it was really a question of gathering all those farmers and seeing who actually wanted to continue with harvesting the beans, and he just connected with different farms and farmers, and they did an amazing job. Mhm.
So third generation, now we're coming around the corner to you, and I already see where this drive comes from. He came, what was his PhD in?
I think it's just agronomy. If I'm correct, I know there is agronomy in the title, but I'm not sure the full diploma, how it's called, or yeah.
So at
Mhm.
this time, was certainly the production is there. Was there any post-production processing going on? I don't even know what happens at that point. And maybe you can tell me then. I mean, so it's a tree? Is it a bush? I mean, tell me a little about the biology.
Yes. So for a cocoa tree to grow, it takes approximately 5 years, right? So they need to put those seeds and then leave it for a couple years. And then it started to grow as a tree indeed. And you have a fruit and then, or a flower, I would say a flower. And then you can see how the flower becomes a little bit like a fruit, and then it becomes a big pod, and then after a couple of months it has different colors because we have different varieties. I can actually show quickly here the different varieties of cocoa trees we have. We have the Criollo, which is a very rare cocoa bean. It's purple and it has a very delicious taste, fruity. And then we also have the Trinitario. This is my favorite. It's a bit nutty. It's also fudge. And all those varieties actually originated from South America, right? And then because the African soil are so fertile and we are in the center of Cameroon, we are close to water. So this is why we are able to get so diverse varieties. We also have the National, um, and all those beans also can be found in South America. This is the beauty with our farm. Mhm.
Now, did your father do any of that crossbreeding to come up with some varieties that are unique to your area?
Yes, you definitely need to do some maintaining. You need to learn about how to even grow those different varieties and protecting those varieties, right? I'm not really the person behind at the farm gate level. I'm not really involved in the harvesting season. I just know, roughly the steps. I'm more into the manufacturing, the chocolate making from the seeds. But he's definitely more into the harvest part and the farm gate level. Mhm.
So now going back to the third generation yourself. So this is where
Mhm.
you were raised, right? You were raised on this farm, correct?
Yes.
So at the time or now or even before that, was there on-farm processing where beans being roasted? Were you turning it into other products at that point in time, or is it just simply a production?
Simply production, simply um, cutting of the trees, very manual, sun drying of the wet beans. We didn't have when I was a kid, we didn't have the fermentation boxes to because the beans have to be fermented, they have to be turned, we need to measure the moisture, we need to taste them. We didn't have all those processes. So it's really with my dad who implemented those procedures, I would say. He brought some small equipments, the thermometers, and he built the fermentation boxes. So there's a lot of things that we didn't have. It was in in some rough boxes, and yes, sun drying, and sometimes even on the floor drying. It was very rustic, I would say, when I was a kid. Yes.
Well, and also, I'm sure from his perspective, it was wonderful to have you there. I mean, you were free labor, I assume. I mean, that's one of the benefits of growing up on a farm like that. So you're probably very familiar with, if you had to do it by hand again, exactly what needs to be
Yeah.
done. Again, having never experienced, I assume there's a very rich chocolate smell at this point. Does it smell like chocolate then?
Not at all. I would say during the harvesting time, when we cut the pods, so this is a pod, and we open and we see the beans inside, they are white and they are wet and they taste everything but chocolate. They taste pineapple, they taste like a little bit of lychee. It's a very sweet flavor. And it's only after the sun drying, the harvesting for 2 weeks, and then that we can start tasting, oh, this tastes like a dark chocolate, the coconut, right? It tastes like a dark chocolate. I can see where the chocolate comes from. Mhm.
So when you say taste it, you're just tasting a sun-dried bean? I mean, I'm sure your palate's completely tuned to that, or do you do something else to it after that?
Yes, so the sun drying process takes approximately 2 weeks. I will try to find the slide for you. Perfect. So we sun dry the wet beans on those tables, and then after 2 weeks, then we can come and start tasting them, um, and it will taste like I said, a very dark chocolate. Yeah.
So I guess that's the species. Does the soil, does the climate, do all those things have an impact on the flavor as well? Have you discovered that?
Yes, definitely. I will say, well, the climate, this year it was very dry. It wasn't a very good season. So what it will just impact how the volumes on how much we can produce. But in terms of flavors, definitely the soil and how we harvest the beans, uh, how the fermentation is done. So it's definitely after we cut the pods, and even did we selected the best pods, because we have good pods and we have also bad pods, right? So good pods will pretty much be purple, very purple, very orange, and you can even start by how you sort the pods. You can even tell if it's gonna give you a good quality or a bad quality. Mhm.
Well, I know in the grape industry for the wine, drought is a dual-edged sword. Number one, needing more water, but number two, when the grapes are drier, it concentrates that sugar in there. And I wonder if there's going to be a difference if it was a drier year in the sugar concentration, both pre-drying and post-drying. That could be interesting. If there is, that'd be, I guess, a little bit of a benefit, a little bit of a silver lining.
Yes, I know. So for example, when we take the wet bean and when they have to go through those wooden boxes, fermentation boxes, when we turn them, there is definitely a lot that is happening with the sugar, and then we even have some water going on. There's a lot of humidity. So all those steps are so crucial because yes, they will determine the final flavor of the bean. Yeah. Mhm.
So I know your story, and it's magnificent. So this is the part I'm really excited about getting to. So I don't know when in your life you said, "Hey, we need to take this story to the wider world," and I am that person who will take this story. So Was that a conversation you had with yourself? Was the community all voted and put their hand in the air, or is it just kind of like when we were kids, everyone put their finger on their nose, and the last person that didn't is the one that's selected? So, talk me through your thinking, your reasoning, and kind of that early journey to get moving towards where you are now.
Absolutely. So I came in Canada in 2013. I went to Quebec to finish my master degree in marketing. And one day I was having a conversation with my father, and he was just telling me about the issues they were facing at the farm gate level, the hurdles, the stress, and I care. I care about where where I was born. I care about my people. So I just felt like it was time for me to be more involved. I just felt like it was time, I yes, I was doing a master degree, but I didn't feel like it was really something that, I want to do my career, my entire life. I just want to be working for a big corporation. No, just a conversation, just hearing about the stress that my people were still going through. I just felt like it was time for me to do something and that I was ready to do it. So I just started to ask more and more questions to my dad. But yes, I hear the problem, but do you think we can do something better? Do you think there is something feasible? Do you think this is actually something that we can do different? So I just started to be interested in and even learning a little bit more about the cacao because at that time when I was a student, I just knew, where I was born. I just knew some basic knowledge about chocolate making. I was just good at what I was doing. Um, and I decided to, okay, now it's time to be more focused and to try to support. And this is where everything started in Quebec 2013.
That is amazing. And
Yes.
actually, this is probably where I interrupted you when you started your slideshow. If you want to go back there, we can kind of go to the arc or
Sure.
where we should have been now that we've exhausted that cul-de-sac. That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So I kind of started to, I opened actually a company in Quebec. I really wanted to open the first EMKAO Foods in Quebec, but I just felt like if I wanted to be in the chocolate industry, I had to be in a more startup orientated because it's not just about chocolate, it's about also running a business. It's about getting some knowledge on how to even be an entrepreneur, how to expose myself, how to do some presentation. So I just felt like Vancouver was the right place in Canada because it has a lot of incubators. Yes, so yes, I kind of came to Vancouver in 2015 with the idea that I wanted to open the facility here because, like I said, Vancouver for me, it's a little bit like the Silicon Valley, but the Silicon Valley of Canada. There's a lot of incubator. The entrepreneur space is more vibrant and is more present. So I just started to kind of write my business plan, get in touch with different incubators, learn how much I will need. And also, I felt that it was the right place to start a market research, right? There is a lot of chocolatiers here. And I just felt like my values were aligned. They care about organic products, they care about vegan products. And this is how I wanted to be. I'm a vegetarian, so I wanted to have a product that also aligns with my values. So I just felt like everything was right when I came here. And yeah, I started the market research, and in 2016, I choose to incorporate the company because I wanted to be an international company. But again, all of that was possible because I was part of different incubators. So they really helped me to put my ideas into paper, do my market research. I got in touch with great food association Processors Association, Chocolate Association. I got more knowledge in chocolate. I became a maître chocolatier. So all of that, it's because I decided to come in Vancouver in 2015. Mhm.
So I have a couple questions here. So as you're going through this ideation to launch the business process, I'm sure there must
Mhm.
have been other ideas that you looked at in the
Mhm.
chocolate sector, right? And you decided to go with the one you chose. Can you talk a little about some of the ones that you're looking at and how you came to the decision to pick your specific lane where you are? And we'll get into later where that goes, but just kind of how you got to that point. I think it'd be instructive for other folks that are doing the same thing.
Absolutely. It's actually because when I talk to my potential customer, so you need to always ask yourself, when I start a business, you know, who will be my ideal customer? What is the market? Who is willing to purchase my products? And I really like direct feedback. I think emails are great, calls are great, but really somebody who is willing to give you money for what you are making, this is the person you want to talk to. So I went there, I took my cocoa beans with me, I talked to many chocolatiers, and then they all said one thing: we are not using raw cacao beans. You need to make the chocolate chips, you need to make the cocoa butter, you need to make this, and this is what we're using. This is how much we're purchasing. This is what we care when we're purchasing. So right there, I had a name, I had a contact, I knew what they wanted. And from there, I just got some education on, okay, if I had to roast the cocoa beans, what equipments do I need? If I had to make chocolate chips, what do I need? So it was pretty much based on what all those 100 customers told me that I was able now to say, oh, by the way, I cannot just be a broker, meaning bringing the beans from Cameroon and selling them directly to my customers. No, I actually need to do a little bit more work. And then I also look for the competition. Is there somebody else doing that already? Where are you getting your chocolate chips? Where are you getting your cocoa butter? So all those informations were very crucial for me to decide to go into manufacturing, right? So I always say to new entrepreneurs, you will have a better understanding on how to do things by talking to the person you will potentially sell. So this is how I did it. I just walked into the chocolate shops and looked for the manager or the responsible, the person in charge. Yeah.
Now,
Mhm.
was that part of a structured program that they put you through it in one of the incubators, like an I-Core that we have here in the US, or was it just more you saying, "Hey, I got to do this. I have the weight of an entire sector on my shoulders. I'm going to make it happen."
Yeah, it was definitely with the help of the very first incubator I did. I was very committed. I really wanted to um, understand what is that I was doing, and it's important because you need to do a lot of incubators, because each incubators you will just learn how to do one thing and one thing very good. I've done a lot of pitches or working on my pitches um, during all those 6 incubators, but I would say FFC actually really trained me on how to present the company, and the others just prepared me to put the venture together, the company together, adding the people I needed. So I feel like you really need to do a lot of incubators to be at the place you need to be. So that's pretty much my how I feel about incubators.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think there's another point you mentioned there too for any entrepreneurs that are listening is that cardboard check. It's the pitching and getting
Mhm.
that laminated piece of cardboard. And what that
Mhm.
tells investors, that's practice. You've gone through it if you've answered some hard questions because you held that cardboard check. So that I think in itself is, in addition to the incubators, is another win in an investor's mind. But I'll
Mhm.
let you go back to your deck here. This is fascinating.
Thank you. Yes, so we opened the facility in 2021 after the pandemic. We were supposed to open in 2020, but everything was shut down. Nobody wanted to work. It was a very scary time. So we decided to wait a little bit. And opened in 2021. It was amazing. The first facility in BC from tree to cocoa ingredients. I had a lot of people coming that day. We certified the facility organic, vegan, GMP, and non-GMO as well. And yes, we were a victim of our success because the products were so good. And the money I raised, I was only able to bring one container, and that container we sold everything in a record time in 2 months, 20,000 kilos of raw cacao beans. So this is why in my industry, it's not the customers that will be challenging to have, because all chocolate makers or people that are working with chocolate, they are always looking for new great varieties. And when you really put the work into making some premium quality cocoa ingredients, people will taste it and they will like it, right? So we were very successful when we opened. And this is why we actually were able to partner with different people and universities as well to help us even with you know food analysis, making sure that we don't have some of the main issues in the chocolate industry. Um, and then yes, we opened the facility a little bit further from Vancouver, an hour from Vancouver, a 3,000 square feet facility where we were doing roasting, workshops as well. Um, and then with always the vision of putting the small cocoa farmers first. We want to make sure that they have a decent livelihood, because harvesting the cocoa beans, it comes with a lot of work. Like you can see on the pictures, it's very intensive. We carry the buckets on the head, we cut with the machetes, and we have to walk so many miles just to reach to, because the farm is 100 hectares, right? And the trees can go up to 6 foot. So it's an intense labor. So it's important to support the cocoa farmers for them to have a decent livelihood. And we do share the margins with them because we want to make sure that, you know, they support their families.
So I see on
And
this,
like I
I'm sorry,
said,
go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
mhm,
Can you go back to that slide? I had a couple
mhm.
questions for you.
Yes.
I'm just based on what you told me before, it
Okay.
looks like, but just let me know if I'm correct or not. On the left here, the stuff that's
Mhm,
being carried on the head, are those the
mhm.
beans then that and are they wet beans or are they dry beans that I mean if that's what that is?
Yes, that's correct. Those are wet beans.
Wet
Mhm,
beans. Okay, then on the right here, there's all different
mhm.
colors. And you told me orange is good. Um,
Yes.
I don't, maybe there's a purple in there, but it looks like
Yes,
they're getting split
purple.
open, right? So this is the first part on the
Yes.
right hand side where you split them open. And then
Mhm.
is the pulp itself, is there a use for that? And the hulls, are they used for anything?
Yes. These are they're just put back on the soil to help growing more trees as fertilizer. We don't really get rid of them. They just stay there.
That makes
Mhm.
sense. It's probably the best food for them. It's exactly what they want, so that works
Yes.
out. Well, good. I was just, again, based on what you said before, I just want to make sure I deciphered everything in that slide. That is really neat. Is that a banana tree in the background there too?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Because cocoa trees, they love shade, so we need to grow more varieties of different trees. And yeah. Mhm.
it's beautiful. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, these are a picture that I found of my great parents. You know, like I said, my grandmother was saying that she doesn't want us to be involved with cocoa farming because it's so um, work. You don't have enough for your hard work, and it's challenging. You know, it's challenging to you harvest all those beans and you're not able to sell those beans at the price that um, that you are not able to get the value of your work. So it's very painful. So a lot of education has to happen. We need to train the small cocoa farmers on different aspects to meet the international standards. So yeah, they are the reasons why we keep doing this, and we try to do better to make sure that if we want to grow cocoa beans, this is the way we have to do it. And of course, this is very important because this actually explain a little bit more in detail what is going on. The portion of the small cocoa farmers not being trained on how to harvest the cocoa beans. This is why they are always at the mercy of illegal buyers. So during the middle of the harvest, when they have those wet beans that are not well fermented, you will have those illegal buyers coming and say, hey, we want your beans, but these are not good quality, so they don't worth, let's say, right now the price of the cocoa beans is at $8 per pound or per kilo. So they would say, yes, it doesn't worth $8 per kilo. So we're gonna buy it at 50 cents or 20 cents, right? And they just come, they're gonna pitch something and make the small cocoa farmers feel that no, they are doing something that is not even valuable, and they're gonna sell because they feel like if I don't sell it now, then nobody will want my bad quality cocoa, right? So this is what is going on. But because they don't know how to even sun dry, how to even maintain the wet beans and work with those beans to give a premium quality cocoa beans. This is why they are always at the mercy of those illegal buyers. And you need to know really what's going on at the farm gate level to be able to support the cocoa farmers. And again, climate change right there, because of the climate change, every
So
time we
back
cut
to the, I'm sorry
trees.
not to interrupt, back to the other slide there,
Mhm,
the charcoal at the bottom, is that just that
mhm.
somebody has cacao trees, cocoa trees, and don't know what to do with it, and they don't know how to manage it, and they just
Yeah,
cut it down and turn it to charcoal? Is that what that is saying?
yes, yes, that's correct. Mm, yeah, and this is very sad, this is very sad because you now you understand that people are actually doing things to survive, because growing cacao beans actually don't give enough for them to survive, you know. So they do whatever they can.
Well, this is why your mission is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And another major and important factor is the climate change. Every time the trees are cut, they don't grow more trees. And now we have a shortage in cocoa beans because of climate change. We need to grow more trees every time we cut trees. And this is why the price is increasing, because there's a shortage in and there's a shortage in cocoa beans, and the climate change is, the weather is just not allowing the small cocoa farmers to grow more. In Cameroon, we have uh, the dry climate, but in West Africa, they have a lot of rain. And all of this is just reminds me how important maintaining our climate and all those environment aspects are so important, because it will affect the yield per year. Yeah,
Now,
it's
these aren't
important
grown
to
in,
respond.
we're not growing these anywhere in the
Mhm.
US, are we? Is our climate's not
No.
conducive?
Yeah, no. Cocoa beans love tropics, warm environment. um yeah, definitely. And yes, so one of my father has been working on is really to train the small cocoa farmers on those important climate and smart conservation agricultural practices. And of course, me here, it's important to support women involvement in manufacturing. I didn't have any experience in um, turning an office space into a facility. But guess what? I learned how to do it. I paint the walls. I put the drains in. I just get educated, and it's a chance that because I'm so dedicated, I just surrounded myself with people who actually were able to support me. So I want to do that to the people I'm working with because it's a little bit more than just um, hiring people and then letting those people go. No, these are immigrant women like myself that don't even know how to speak English, but these are great people that want to learn, that have skills from different places in the world. And, we all care about, learning and supporting and having a better supply chain, I would say.
Well,
And
there
at
is
the
a
farm gate.
saying. I mean, well, I'm sorry to
Mhm,
interrupt. You. Back to that one. I mean, there's a
mhm.
saying that no one works harder than someone that's been given a second chance. So, I applaud you for doing that as well. Not only do you lead by example, you give a hand down and a hand up. So, thank you.
Yes, thank you. And at the farm gate level, again, inclusive job opportunities to women. We really put a priority on supporting women because when the harvest seasons ends in December, what happened is that the women most of the time, they are the one sun drying the beans. They are the one putting the beans in the sacks to be shipped internationally. So they are also doing a lot of work. But at the end of the harvest seasons, the men will come, their husbands will come and take their money. So it's very important to empower them and making sure that they directly receive the paycheck for their hard work because they will sustain their families. They will make sure their kids go to school. They will make sure that they have enough to even wait until the next harvest season. So it's a lot of understanding what's going on to even understand how to better support the population. And this is what my father worked on. You remember at the beginning, I was saying that we were sun drying on the floor, which is not very safe, food safe. So he built those drying system on tables. This is better. You can just come, sort, and it's more efficient that way. So this is something that he worked on, that he built with the population. And one thing that is also very difficult and challenging right now is having access to the farms. Right now, the city from the village is just a good 20 kilometers, but it takes 2 hours. 2 hours, 20 kilometers. I see myself here. 20 kilometers, I do it in 15 minutes. So being part of the community is also helping improving access to have access to the farm. We don't need a lot of financing to build some decent roads. So what we do is we use local materials, and we just started with the community, the villagers. We just started to we don't have a lot of equipment, so with the margins, this is an impact that we also do with the my revenues. I also invest back in the farm and to be able to buy some equipments to do those roads, to facilitate those roads, to help building those roads. So this is why it's so important as a company to give back to the community, right? Because if we cannot have access to the road, then how can we go to the village, right? So these aspects are very important. And again, just to give another kind of idea on a good refresh on what we're doing is we get those raw cacao beans from family farms in Cameroon, and we turn those cacao beans into 6 different cocoa ingredients that are used for further processes. So the cocoa beans are turned into cocoa powder, cocoa husk, cocoa paste, cocoa butter, chocolate chips, and chocolate bars. And yeah, we decided to be sell into retail stores, wholesale, and our products are very enjoyable. And all those cacao beans are coming from Yembuni. The name of the village is Kotou Farm, and the population is about 89,000 people, and the main source of income is coming from growing cocoa beans. This is why it's so important for them to first having access to the farm, second, receiving decent wages for their hard work, and being trained on climate change. That is crucial.
I
And
see.
these
Quick
are the
question. I
different.
probably should have asked this before. Cacao and coca. What
Mhm.
was it? Is there a difference? Is it the same thing? I again plead ignorance.
Yeah, no worries. So cacao means it hasn't been roasted, so it's only in its pure form. When we say cocoa, it means it went through a roasting process or and then a manufacturing process. So if I say, for example, cacao powder, it means it has, no roasting, it's raw, and cocoa means it has been roasted for 30 minutes or plus. Um, but in the industry, even cacao powder, even the raw cacao powder, it still has to be roasted at a very light temperature. So if, for example, cocoa is at 30 degrees for 30 minutes, cacao will be still roasted, but just for a shorter time, maybe 10 minutes or 5 minutes. It's just a roasting versus no roasting, really. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. So why we should sustain our farms, it's because of the different varieties of beans we can have at the farm gate level. The purple one is the Criollo, like I said, very rare, very fruity, um, amazing flavor to make chocolate bars. Chocolatiers actually love this variety because it just elevates their products. And then it originates from South America, Central America, and it has different, and you can see this variety in Venezuela, and there's so many other varieties, but in Cameroon we are able to have the Criollo. So this is something that we are very proud of, and this is why I think what my dad is doing is so important, because those varieties in Africa, it's very rare to find it. And
What?
then we have the
Just
Trinidad.
another question. On the biology. What pollinates these? Is it multiple species? Are they dependent upon a small select type of species? And the other question is, I know my friends that do orchards, there's something called the king blossom that's on top of the tree that always has the biggest apple or the biggest whatever, peach or whatever. Is there a similar one giant flower that sort of sets everything off at that point in time?
Absolutely. Actually, speaking on breed, so this one is actually is a cross between that one, the Criollo, and then the Forastero. The Forastero is one of the main variety you will find in Africa. Um, so we do have an hybrid, right? The Trinitario. And again, it all came from Central and South America, and hybrid there. And I'm not really, you know, how it's about the pollinate. I'm not really sure about the other species, but I know for sure the Trinitario is, a crossbreed between those two. Um, and this is actually one of my favorite variety. It's nutty, it's a little bit fudge. Um, and chocolate makers here, they are used to this variety. This is why we also have a lot of success, because we are able to bring that specific variety.
And
Yeah.
are the flowers fragrant? Does it smell like an orange or an apple blossom? Do they have a unique odor to them at all?
No, no, the flower, no, no. Yeah, yeah. I actually never, I cannot even remember the smell of the flower. Mm, yeah, good. So to just give a little bit of background on the market we are in, it's a billion industry, billion global industry, and in North America as well, it's a billion industry. So we decided to focus on a niche market to um, serve people who care about ethically sourcing, who cares about supporting the small cocoa farmers, who cares about giving back. And in that market, we capture up to 20% of shares in the market, because yes, people more and more, they want to know where their cocoa beans come from. Nobody wants to be involved with a farm or manufacturer that involves child labor. So this is why it's the organic market, and the ethically sourced cocoa industry is really growing. Right now, we are serving the North American market, and we're planning to expand in Asia.
And one
Mhm.
of the things you taught me is there's a way to look at origin on whatever chocolate
Mhm.
product it is. Can you just remind me again what that was and what I should look for and what I should avoid?
Yeah, so when you purchase a chocolate bar, usually check the ingredients. If the ingredient starts by sugar or modified, whatever milk or uh, something that you cannot pronounce, then it means it's a candy. When the chocolate bar starts by cocoa mass, cocoa nibs, then you know that this is a chocolate bar. I will always say support the craft makers, because the craft makers cares about quality, they cares about more cacao content, and they care about supporting small cocoa farmers. And honestly, I've seen so much craft makers opening stores and making incredible chocolate products. So I feel like today it's a little bit easier to find good craft chocolate bars. And also, I don't like soy. I think people should stay away from soy lecithin. I don't think you need soy lecithin in your products. You can only use cocoa butter, which is also part of the cocoa bean. So all those, to really buy a good chocolate bar, read the ingredients list. Really read the ingredient list. It's super important. Mhm. So yeah, on this slide, I really share about what we do. It always smell amazing. Roasted cocoa, cacao in our facility. We are immersed with the smell. We do everything about cacao. I love everything about cacao, from the cocoa butter to the 100% chocolate to the cocoa powder. Our cocoa powder is reddish. It has a lot of fat content. Um, and this is where I actually love to do my magic. It's by making the ingredients that will then serve the other manufacturers to make their hot chocolate mixes, their chocolate bars, their chocolate, I don't know, cookies or cakes. I love to be that processor that work with the beans. I just love working with the beans. Yes. Mhm. So this is me. Every time I receive shipments, I
Just a quick
enjoy
question
it.
back to the roasting, because I love when I walk into a coffee roaster. You know, you can smell a different,
Mhm.
whether it's a dark roast or a light roast. I assume it's the same
Yeah.
way if you come within a quarter mile of your facility, everyone starts smelling chocolate. I mean, is it
Yeah.
same sort of that permeation of the smell?
Yes, it's amazing. And my favorite part is obviously trying, right? And as soon as you eat a roasted bean or cocoa nib, you just feel content. You feel like, wow, my body actually ate something that is so nutritious. I had iron deficiency. I had a lot of, problems, but since I started to eat raw cacao or roasted cacao or light roasted cacao, I just feel a little bit more energetic. It has increased my magnesium, my iron. levels. So I just feel like everything is good in cacao and in chocolate and dark chocolate. So this is really something that even I love to personally eat, and I see so much value, and I care about providing that to my customers as well. Mhm. Premium quality. So on top of securing a reliable supply chain from Cameroon to Vancouver, we also pushed a little bit further. So every time we have to bring container from Cameroon, we put a tracking device to see that actually tells us, the temperature, the humidity, and how the beans will arrive. And all of this is possible because I just partner with with a company that helped me to gather those information. Because the challenge in our industry is that if the beans arrive at the farm gate level, sorry, if the beans arrive at the port, Vancouver port or any port, and if the humidity is not right, if it arrives in bad condition, the shipment can be returned to the port of origin. So tracking all those data was super important for us. And then to push a little bit further, we also implemented traceability on QR code on our packaging because we wanted to make sure that our customers know that we pay a cash premium to our farmers, that we offer training to our farmers, and where the cocoa beans are coming from. So, and everything that we do, where it was manufactured, when, the harvest season. So all those informations for us reinsured our customers, and it aligns with our value of transparency. We are trying to do something different. And again, partnering with different universities, running some workshop, educating the youth on how important is to share the vision, share uh, how to better support our farmers, how to better support craft makers and local companies. This is what we do. It's not just about manufacturing a premium product, it's also involving the community in what we're doing. Those are the future leaders of tomorrow. So they need to be thinking about climate change, about sustainability efforts, and this is what we care about. Mhm. We certified our company. We have great margins. Cacao offers great margins just based on one container. We were able to do great margins over the years. And all of that was possible because of my team. I surrounded myself with people who have the same vision, who support me on daily basis, and we are just complementing each other. And most of my team, I actually met them through those incubators that I was part of. They believed in me. They saw how hardworking I was, and how dedicated I was, and they just wanted to support me in my in the venture, with the venture. And this is my board, a diverse board in marketing, export, engineering as well. And of course, the community just love our products. Having access to somebody who cares about ingredients and cares about producing premium ingredients. That's what people want. They want to have. They want to know the name of the farmers. They want to know where it was manufactured, and that's what we offer. And we are retail and wholesale. And yes, today it's really all about joining forces to open those new trading opportunities to small cocoa farmers. Yeah. And that's it.
Ayissi, you have done the work of 100 people for the benefit of tens of thousands. I mean, it's amazing not only as a businesswoman doing what you're supposed to be doing, but everything else, your forward thinking, your pipeline of talent, your workforce development in that angle, but the training to the farmers, everything that goes along with what you're managing is way outside the scope of any business plan that I'm sure your advisors would say, stick to the revenue side, making the money and stuff like that. So let's,
Mm,
and like you said, the advisors and the folks that you have that have joined you did it because they
mhm.
believed in you and your vision. And I can
Yeah.
almost guarantee that someone listening to or viewing this in the future is going to feel the same way and want to help you out. So let me ask you the hard question. If I was to give you a blank check and a magic wand, given where you are today, what does the future look like for you and EMKAO Foods, and what does that realized vision look like?
It looks like an expansion to the States, definitely. Um, the parts in the States are a little bit closer uh, from Cameroon to the States. So definitely having a branch in the States and uh, running some very light operations in the States and still to be able to serve the North American market and to work on the expansion in Asia and to grow the farms. I really want to organize those trips in the farms to again always to be in that vision of letting the world know what is actually happening at the farm gate level, because I think a video is great, pictures are great, but having people really experiencing what is like to be at the farm gate level, to walk 2 miles with cocoa pods, cocoa beans on the head, I think this is something that people want to experience, and this is something that has to be done. We need to have a little bit more um, connections with the farmers. So yeah, expansion and more work at the farm.
Well, good.
Mhm.
Well, what question did I not ask you that you really wish I had?
Wow, whew, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Or it's something you want to share that you think is important that the audience needs to walk away knowing?
Yes. I want the audience to walk away with the fact that I'm very disruptive um, in the supply chain, because no one from a third generation of farmers have ever done what I'm doing right now. And I think my strength is at the farm gate level. So I really want, to even start a conversation or uh, on how can we all together join forces to create a more, sustainable community, and not just, saying, yes, we care about, you know, good quality products, but we don't really support. I want people to know that something is, we are working hard on doing this, and they also can do something by supporting us, by purchasing from craft makers, and by really just getting a little bit more involved in what we are doing. So we have the power to change the supply chain, because right now the supply coming from Africa is controlled by three major big corporations, right? This is why it's going wrong. This is why there is a lot of problems still in the industry. We even call it the dark side, but the consumer has the power of changing that. And you know what? I just want people to know that we are doing the work, and they just need a little bit more of support. Mhm. Yeah.
There we go. And so if somebody wants to, I don't know, shake your hand or get a business card, you're going to be in New York City sometime coming up, right? Are you just
Yes.
walking around? Are you going to have a booth there?
Yes. We're gonna have a booth there the Summer Fancy Food Show from the 23rd to 25th. So yes, please be stop by our booth, come and try some samples. You can shop from us. We're gonna launch a crowdfunding campaign soon, so definitely you can invest in us if you care and support about us. And I think it's important to follow us as well to just have more information about what we do. And yeah.
Did I hear you say you're launching a crowdfunding campaign, or is that something
Yeah.
we cannot talk about yet?
I don't want to share too much now,
Let's
but
not.
this is
Little hint.
yes. This is why it's so important for you guys to follow us and to see our progress and when we're going to be launching the crowdfunding campaign. Mhm.
Excellent. All right, Ayissi, thank you so much for spending some time with me. I know that we are in quite different time zones and took a little while to get the schedules where they are. And given your duties running an organization like yours, let alone everything else you do, I really do truly appreciate making time for this.
Thank you so much for offering me a platform. It's so important. And yeah, it was amazing to be here and to share my story. Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
um,
Well,
and
actually, I
it's
take that back. There appears to be a little gap between Quebec
mhm,
and EMKAO Foods getting founded.
yes,
So, what happened in that little space of time?
I got pregnant.
We can cut that
And
piece
then
out.